Dear Star Wars, I have been the biggest fan of you since I was a kid.
Mayday, mayday, Rebel base, come in.
I watched the originals when I was around 8 years old, and then I saw Attack of the Clones in theaters when I was 9, and I was absolutely hooked. Playing every single Star Wars game that you released, growing out an actual, yes, a very real Padawan braid for many years, making Star Wars movies with my friends, collecting action figures and playing Tactics, if anyone remembers that incredible game. We had the trading cards, the t-shirts, the posters, the cardboard stand-ups. I mean, I had everything. All of this to say that Star Wars was my life, and being a kid, of course, I was oblivious to some of the problems that the prequels had. But even so, Revenge of the Sith is still my favorite Star Wars to date. Not only does it have so much nostalgia for me, but seeing it on opening day and getting my friends out of school early to go see it was just an absolute blast. My love for Star Wars has never faded. With the release of the sequel trilogy, I was stoked to see what they did with the new characters in the same universe that we all loved. The Force Awakens came out and we absolutely loved it. I watched it probably 8 times and couldn't get enough of it. Yes, I knew that it was really similar to A New Hope and would have loved to have seen Luke, but the overall consensus from everyone was that Star Wars was back, baby. We had discussions and theories about what was going to happen next. We watched countless videos, reviews, and interviews from all the Star Wars cast members, and we couldn't wait for The Last Jedi. Star Wars The Last Jedi Countdown. 12 days, 11 hours, 50 minutes, and 15 seconds. They have a countdown for it. And it's going to be amazing. I wish I could go back in time and warn myself of what was to come. All of a sudden, Star Wars took a wrong turn. And I'm not just talking about some bad acting or okay dialogue, but character decisions that essentially ruined everything. We had never had such expectations for a film and had never been so disappointed. And while most film critics seemed to think it was great, all of us just normal Star Wars fans were completely torn. We thought, Star Wars can't make something bad. I mean, they can make some stuff that's just okay, and maybe even some stuff that could have been better but was still really fun to watch and had some incredible moments. But it actually happened. Star Wars had made something genuinely bad. And once The Last Jedi came out, everything started to come to light about directors' decisions and writers and problems behind the curtains, and it got so bad that they brought J.J. Abrams back to try to fix what Rian Johnson had broken. But the damage had already been done, and The Rise of Skywalker was just as damaging, if not worse. It was clear that Disney had no idea what it was doing. But I kept defending them, because I knew that the Clone Wars show was actually really well done, and gosh, even that little 2-minute Cartoon Network stuff was great. And with some incredible episodes in The Mandalorian and Jon Favreau directing, I knew that Star Wars could come back. The potential is there, and I didn't know if the next Star Wars release was going to be an absolute hit or actually damaging to the Star Wars universe. And with the recent release of the Book of Boba Fett and more importantly Obi-Wan Kenobi, I am genuinely sad for where Star Wars has gone. And I know that they have the potential to make an incredible Star Wars film. Because, to be perfectly honest with you guys, and it might not be a well-received opinion, but I thought the fight scene between Vader and Kenobi in Episode 6 is peak Star Wars. I mean, everything about that fight scene was incredible. I smiled, I cried, I had goosebumps, the choreography, the dialogue, everything was, in my opinion, pinnacle Star Wars that we haven't seen in a really long time. But other than that, the show was an absolute train wreck. I mean, there are memes of people saying to only watch the final episode, and that's all that everyone is talking about. So I started to think, what is Disney actually doing wrong? I mean, I know it's irritating, and I know that we'd rather see certain things happen that didn't happen, but if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, can we actually determine specific things that Disney is failing at? And I did. And listen, this is not an analysis bashing The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker or even how terrible Obi-Wan Kenobi is, and I'm also not making this because I'm the best writer on the planet and could have written something so much better. This is a plea to Star Wars, a desperate plea to Disney from a lifelong fan. Now, I've heard it said that no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, and of course this might be true to a degree, but there is a reason for this. and it's because we know the potential that these projects can be. Of course, you can't please every fan, and some fans are going to not like it, but when the majority of Star Wars fans don't like a project, it's time to rethink what you did. And when countless memes are circulating that are all 100% true, you've done something wrong. With the recent release of Obi-Wan Kenobi, though, I wanted to put together a list that I genuinely think we as Star Wars fans can all agree on. Things that if Disney would do, I think we would all have joy for Star Wars again. So listen up, Disney. I'm about to give you the keys to a successful Star Wars film and what we, as Star Wars fans, are tired of seeing. Number 1 is that Disney lies. Or should I say, Disney raises our expectations to where they can't be met. Now, I have to hand it to Disney. They really know how to get butts in the seats. Their marketing is on point because Obi-Wan Kenobi was the most watched show on Disney Plus history. It beat everything that has come before it, and for good reason. Ewan and Hayden get to come back and give us the characters that we know and love. At least that's what we were told. Almost 2 years ago, Disney announced that Hayden Christensen would be returning as Darth Vader, and as no surprise to anybody, we were on fire. I couldn't wait to see Hayden and Ewan back at it again. Will there be flashback scenes? Will there be some Darth Vader character development? Will we be able to see more of Hayden without the Darth Vader helmet? All of these questions raced through our minds. And what did Disney do? They fed us more and more. Pictures of Hayden practicing with a lightsaber, press tours with Hayden and Ewan doing interviews, playing fun games, answering questions, the whole 9 yards, and we couldn't wait. But when Star Wars fans turned on Kenobi, they were faced with a hard truth. Hayden is in the Kenobi show for less than 5 minutes. And yes, I timed it. We have a 2.5-minute flashback scene, a 1-minute dialogue scene with half of his mask, a few quick shots of him in the Jedi Temple, and a split-second shot where Obi-Wan thinks that he sees him. That is it. Now many people will say, well, Hayden is in the Darth Vader suit, so that's him the whole time. Well, actually, Hayden Christensen did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter where he stated that it wasn't him in the suit for all the shots because he's not as tall as Darth Vader would be. Hayden Christensen is only 6 feet tall, while Darth Vader is actually 6'9". Now, we of course have absolutely no idea how many shots were actually Hayden because that's all the information he gave us. But does that mean that any shot where he is standing next to someone, they had to use a taller actor? I mean, that's a possibility. Which means that in the entire show, Hayden would barely be in it, even as Darth Vader. The only shots of Hayden in the actual suit might only be the ones where he is alone by himself. This was supposed to be Hayden coming back in an Obi-Wan show where they could essentially do anything. And there was so much press for Hayden's return, only to get less than 5 minutes. I mean, I've never known an actor to go on Jimmy Fallon promoting a show that they are in for 5 minutes. This is typical Disney setting themselves up for failure by bringing expectations so high that they are unreachable. And what could they have done to fix this? Change the entire story to be completely different and all about Anakin and Obi-Wan. But if this is the story that you're going with and Hayden really is in the show for only 5 minutes, pull a Spider-Man No Way Home. The newest Spider-Man had the greatest marketing on the planet, and the way they marketed it was don't tell them anything. I mean, nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Tobey Maguire didn't say anything. Andrew Garfield denied it. Pictures were leaked, and is this real? Is it fake? Are we going to see them for real in this movie? Fake videos came out of people pretending to be the ones to Photoshop these pictures, and everyone wondered if Tobey and Andrew would actually be in the movie. And then, what happened on opening night? It was the biggest financial hit of the decade, right behind The Force Awakens, making almost $2 billion. All because nobody knew if they would show up, and they were blown away when they did. I actually had multiple friends that saw it in theaters 4 or 5 times. This would have fixed everything with Hayden's return. What do you do with Kenobi? Don't tell anyone that Hayden will be in the show. Have Hayden do an interview where they ask him if he'll be in the new Kenobi show and maybe he refuses to answer it. Everyone starts speculating and wondering if he'll show up, and have this image leak online, and the fans explode. Is it fake? Is it Photoshop? What is this? None of us know, and we're all wondering what is going to happen. And guess what? We still all watch the show, and maybe even more so, to see if Hayden will return. And then, what happens whenever we see that flashback scene? Now, 5 minutes of Hayden Christensen is incredible. There would be explosions online, people freaking out, reaction videos trending everywhere, people crying, and you, Disney, have a #1 hit on your hands. But instead, since you marketed it so heavily and didn't come through on your promises, people are just disappointed. Then, even after the entire show is released, now your marketing is promoting Hayden even more. This 30-second trailer playing on IMDb is nothing but Hayden, Darth Vader, and the battle. Literally the only good parts of the Obi-Wan show that are barely in the show. And listen, as Star Wars fans, of course we'll have some high expectations. I mean, it's Star Wars. But the disappointments are made worse when you promote something you know we all love, but not deliver on those promises. This is a recipe for disappointed fans all around. And unfortunately, Disney is also doing the exact same thing with Ahsoka that they did with Obi-Wan. They just announced, or teased, that Hayden will be in the show almost 2 years before it's released. Come on, Disney, are you building up our expectations just to dash them against the rock? Are we going to get 6 minutes of Hayden Christensen in this one? In the end, I hate to say it because I want to see more, but please leave these characters alone. I mean, don't touch them anymore. I actually found The Mandalorian to be a breath of fresh air, and I actually love it. Why? Because it's new characters with new motives, and we have no expectations for them. We're just along for the ride. And if you want to have a filler episode where the plot doesn't really get pushed along that much and we just kind of see some cool Star Wars stuff, that's fine with me. I'm really enjoying it. But when you take our favorite characters that we've grown up with and squeeze them into 6 30-minute episodes and then have the audacity to make 1 or 2 of them filler episodes, yeah, that's irritating. Number 2, the characters. It's no secret that Disney has created characters that they have no idea what to do with. Building up characters just to make them disappear is a known thing in recent Star Wars films. Finn, of course, is an obvious example. The Force Awakens sets up an incredible character with an awesome character arc. Humanizing a stormtrooper that abandoned the First Order because of his morals and sets out on a journey alongside our protagonist? What an incredible idea! I've never seen that before and I wanted to know more. So tell me, what happens next? Nothing. He screams Rey a bunch and tries to sacrifice himself, but is stopped by his lover, I guess? He screams Rey a little bit more and, well, that's Finn. And since the sequel trilogy has come out, John Boyega has become very vocal of his role as Finn and how he believes that they really didn't know what to do with him. How about Captain Phasma? The Force Awakens sets her up as the baddest leader in the galaxy, but she gets absolutely no arc, a stupid confrontation with Finn, and eventually falls into a lake of fire. I was actually shocked when I saw this happen in the film. I couldn't believe that was literally the end of this character. There were Captain Phasma action figures and Funko Pops, all to have her say a few words and die. There's actually a deleted scene that you can watch on YouTube that shows a confrontation between Finn and Phasma that's 1,000 times better than what we got in The Last Jedi. If you want to watch it, I'll have it in the description below, but it gives more character to Finn, it humanizes Phasma, and even humanizes the stormtroopers more. From just mindless killing robots to actual humans with morals and decisions to make. And if you're looking to have a laugh, go read the comment section of that video as well. Cad Bane in the book of Boba Fett, huge reactions when people saw him for the first time, and he's an incredible character. What are they going to do with him? Nothing. You have General Hux, Rose, DJ, I mean, who the crap is that? How about Snoke? What an absolute waste. And even Leia herself. Watching Carrie Fisher float off into space, I thought was a real emotional moment for Star Wars, and I actually started to tear up. Then she frickin' Supermans through space. What? These characters become mindless filler characters with no real reason to be there and didn't even add to the story. But unfortunately, the worst character of them all, the person who takes the award for worst character ever created in Star Wars, Reva. You had Ewan and Hayden back in the same show. You didn't need Reva in any way. Not only did she not add anything to the story, but not one single decision she makes actually makes sense. She muddied the waters and took away from the overall feel. I know that you can write compelling characters because we've seen it before, but I have never seen such a poor Star Wars character written in my life. I mean, Jar Jar Binks had a better character arc. Okay, that might be a little too far. But speaking of Reva, this leads me right into the third biggest thing that Star Wars has failed on in the last 10 years, and that is poor writing. Being in the film industry, I know that writing can make or break a film. If the script and characters are good, it really doesn't matter what it's shot on as long as the writing is great. That's why movies like 12 Angry Men, filmed in one room and made almost 70 years ago, is riveting. And also why movies like Battleship, made with a $200 million budget, is hot garbage. The writing will make or break your film. I mean, Stranger Things Season 4 just came out, and it has 9 episodes that are over an hour long, and the final episode is longer than many feature films. It introduces brand new characters, multiple locations, and guess what? It's riveting. The best TV show I've seen in a long time. You, on the other hand, have tons of brand new characters with brand new motivations and journeys, and also beloved characters in completely different scenarios than we left them in, and what do? 6 episodes averaging 30 to 35 minutes apiece. $25 million per episode, and you absolutely shot yourself in the foot. When it comes to the writing of Star Wars, there have been a lot of what I like to call first ideas. This pretty much means that when you're writing a scene and you need something to happen, usually your very first idea isn't the best one. That's because it's your first idea. After you have that idea, then you start brainstorming on how to make it better. If we were writing a character who was a Catholic priest and lost his faith, we think, well, how do we do that? Our first idea would be, okay, well, let's have him throw a Bible on the ground and scream up to heaven and curse God. Again, first idea is not the best one. Instead, you brainstorm on that idea. You show a picture of him in his priest garb and have him refuse to pray before he eats. And on the wall of his house are faded stains of crosses where one used to be for a very long time before it was taken down. That is phenomenal writing. First ideas are spread throughout Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's have Vader throw Kenobi in a fire and then put it out with the Force. Awesome! Hey, question, how do we have Kenobi get away? First idea. Well, let's have his friend shoot a barrel and set the entire ground on fire, and then the bad guys can't get through it. This will also give us a really cool shot of Vader with the fire. That is the definition of a first idea. And guess what? It makes no sense. But we'll talk about that situation more in a little bit. How do we break Kenobi free when he is captured by the Empire? What if we have Reva send him into a small garage and close the door behind him with 2 stormtroopers? That is a first idea. I've noticed that sometimes it seems like you can make the excuse that they just don't know the characters in the Star Wars universe. But sometimes it seems like the writing is just terrible, like just in general. Like the mistakes they're making, someone would learn not to do that in their very first college writing class. Basic understanding of character motivation and character arc are thrown out the window, regardless if it's Star Wars or not. Some of the writers of Kenobi have some pretty nice credits, but some of them don't have any good credits at all. Like I said, some decisions made, you could say, well, the writers just didn't know the character's backstory as well as they should. But Reva is a brand new character, and yet she essentially ruins Kenobi. And this, of course, is nothing against the actress who played Reva, Moses Ingram. She's a fine actress and was just playing with the cards that she was dealt. This is not in any way her fault that her character is terrible. This all falls on the responsibility of the writers. First, her motivation. She's a bad guy who's working with the Empire to hunt down all the Jedi and kill them. Okay, not a bad idea. I am totally down for it. She has this really strong feeling against Kenobi and is literally disobeying rules and her higher-ups just to find him. Why? You know what? I am not sure, but I am still good for it. This is really cool. In Episode 5, we finally find out why. Turns out she was a youngling that Anakin stabbed, but after she survived, she's now set out on a path to actually kill Vader for what he did to her. So she's actually not a bad guy, but wants to kill Vader and is hunting Kenobi to get close to Vader. That's a big fat pile of pollo. That makes zero sense. If your true motivation is to just kill Vader, kill him here, or here, or here. Why kill the Grand Inquisitor, and why do you want Kenobi so badly? This doesn't make any sense at all. This is basic character writing. If people can't get behind your motivation, or if your motivation doesn't make sense, people will turn it off. And to be honest, the way to fix this is incredibly simple. All you have to do is make it so that only the Grand Inquisitor can get FaceTime with Vader. Nobody can get close to him, nobody can talk to him, only the Grand Inquisitor can. Now her decision to become Grand Inquisitor kind of makes sense. She kills the Grand Inquisitor to take his place, and she knows if she gets Kenobi, Vader will make her Grand Inquisitor, and then she can meet Vader face to face and kill him. Not that Vader wouldn't see it coming, of course, but this fixes her entire motivation. If she only wanted to kill Vader, what is she actually doing the entire series? How is getting Kenobi going to help that? But instead, she decides to attack Vader out of nowhere in the worst time possible. I mean, come on. This is also an easy fix. While Vader is holding the ship, then she should attack him, and he has to hold her off with his other hand. Then he has to choose, let Kenobi get away to defend himself, or bring the ship down and let Reva attack him. Boom! Makes so much more sense. This would also fix the random error of why Vader brought down the big ship with ease, but didn't do anything to the little one that flew away afterwards. Then you get to the end and she is trying to kill Luke? Why? It literally doesn't even say why she wants to do that. She never says that she wants to end the Skywalker line, or if she can't kill the father, might as well kill the son. Nothing. In fact, I didn't even know what she was doing until the last little bit when she was trying to decide to kill him or not. I just don't understand how this was given the green light. There are so many more things in this show that don't make sense whatsoever, like Reva teleporting to the end of the tunnel, Kenobi hiding Leia under her coat, and this could have easily been played off for laughs by having nobody buy it and them all turn around and there's like 100 stormtroopers staring at them. How about hovering snowspeeders, or Bail Organa knowing exactly where Obi-Wan's hideout was, let alone leaving him a voicemail on Obi-Wan's iPhone containing the most important information in the galaxy. And then Obi-Wan just handing that information to some random dude who was pretending to be a Jedi in the previous episode. There are so many first ideas that don't make any logical sense, which leads me to my next point. Number 4. Star Wars is increasingly insulting our intelligence. If you're gonna have an over-the-top movie with crazy stunts and things that wouldn't happen in real life, that's fine. I mean, that's why there are 43 Fast and Furious movies with over-the-top stunts and just a lot of fun. But there is a difference between an over-the-top action or over-the-top fun and insulting our intelligence with stupid things that make no sense. I knew we were in for a treat when the Jedi they were hunting gets away by making some sheets fall down and they call off the hunt, just to then have a conversation about Reva not listening well, which ends up leading to nothing. Side note, I was also really excited to see one of the Safdie brothers acting in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I actually couldn't wait to... Oh, well, that lasted all of 8 minutes? I think 8 minutes. Of course, we can't move on without talking about the Leia chase scene. I mean, these kidnappers are straight from 3 Ninjas in 1992 or Baby's Day Out. This isn't a kid's show. I mean, this isn't something aimed at 7-year-olds. What the crap is this? The kryptonite of these aliens are tree branches. This one won't jump over it. I was laughing at this scene at first, and then I actually got really sad. I couldn't believe this is actually in the show. There are clever ways to make a kid escape from kidnappers that aren't stupid. Or maybe you make it an intense hiding scene like Jurassic Park or something. Anything besides this would have been acceptable. And just to prove that this wasn't a one-time mistake, Obi-Wan does the exact same thing trying to catch her in the next episode. This is the definition of insulting our intelligence. You can easily have a chase scene where the kid gets away in logical ways. The battle that takes place in episode 5. What an awesome battle. Well, actually, the stormtroopers are so close that there is literally hand-to-hand combat going on and nobody is dying. This takes stormtrooper aim to an entirely new level, and I don't even know what to say. In the book of Boba Fett, these giant droid things are supposedly so scary that everyone runs. But all Boba Fett and Mando have to do to have a conversation is move back and forth from left to right. Then this giant droid who just obliterated a tank 2 minutes ago can't hit a single person in a crowd of people. Kenobi allowing himself to be captured, talking to Reva, and then sending the most wanted Jedi in the galaxy into a garage with 2 stormtroopers and shutting the door is another first idea that made it onto screen. Another one of the biggest blunders that I can't overlook is the amount of times that people live through things that have killed so many other people. Qui-Gon Jinn, who's one of my favorite characters ever, dies from a stab to the stomach. The Game of Thrones lady dies with a blaster to the stomach. Reva? Nah, man, she's stabbed through the stomach and lives. But not only that, she's also stabbed through the stomach as a child and lives. Twice! You expect me to believe that this woman was stabbed in the stomach as a child and survived? The lightsaber wound would have been the size of a softball. Also, Anakin didn't feel that one of the younglings was alive and knew who he was? It's honestly a joke. Vader doesn't allow anyone to stay alive who knew his true identity. And listen guys, I'm not wanting to just rip Obi-Wan Kenobi apart because I'm upset at some of the directions that they took with some of the characters. You know, The Last Jedi got huge flack for taking Luke in a completely different direction than he should have. But he was at least written correctly for that direction. If you're gonna write a depressed hermit who lives on an island by himself and has abandoned everything he loves, he was actually well written for his character. Even if we didn't like it, his character was well written. The problem with Kenobi and almost all of the recent Star Wars projects is that everything was written so poorly that I had my 10-year-old nephews asking me why certain things happened that didn't make sense. And those same nephews told me that The Rise of Skywalker was their favorite film because they're stupid. But that also means that they're primed and ready to like any Star Wars thing that you throw at them. But even they didn't understand character decisions and events in Kenobi, which is yet another thing that Disney does over and over again. Number 5, out of character decisions. There are decisions that a character makes that is not only out of character, but is also never explained why they made this decision. Going back to The Last Jedi, which we just talked about, even though the direction they took Luke was awful and I hated what they did with him, it was explained. I mean, in the best way they could, I guess, how he got to this point and what made him make these decisions. None of that is ever given to us in the most recent Star Wars projects. The biggest problem, of course, being Vader. The biggest villain in the entire galaxy makes decisions that he would never make, and then doesn't explain why he made those decisions. Like we talked about before, he doesn't go after Kenobi through the fire. The man that he has been searching for 10 years is about to get away because there is some fire in his path that he just forced out of his way 10 seconds ago. Why does he let Kenobi get away? I mean, Vader's suit is literally fireproof. He can go through lava. He can go to the bottom of the ocean. It's essentially impenetrable, yet he lets Kenobi get away. Sounds like a first idea to me. When this episode aired, there were countless YouTube videos and theories and people talking about this, saying that Vader would never do this unless maybe he wanted Kenobi stronger or something so that he could defeat him properly. And that was the theory, that in the next episode we'll probably get Vader explaining to someone why he let him go. Basically anything to explain this out-of-character decision. We got nothing. The only thing Vader actually says is,
"Your strength has returned."
But that doesn't justify his decision not to follow him. Why, and I mean why, would you let Reva live? Not only does Reva know that he's Anakin Skywalker, which, again, Darth Vader has never let anyone live who knows his true identity, but she stabbed the Grand Inquisitor and tried to kill him. They both laugh at her on the ground and walk away? When I saw this scene, I actually screamed at the TV, and he lets her live. And I swear if we have a Reva spinoff show, I'm 100% done. And just like the previous decisions, it never gives us a reason why he let her live. It doesn't say, oh, well, he's gonna follow her somewhere, or she's gonna lead him to something. I mean, the baddest villain in the galaxy wouldn't let a person live who tried to kill him. That would actually be considered mercy, and Vader has none of it. Vader also does the same thing with Kenobi in their final fight. And even though I think the fight is incredible, Vader can feel if Kenobi is dead or not, and he knows everything. Why would he walk away from Kenobi in that pit? The writers could have easily had Vader still standing there when Kenobi blasted out of the pit and knocked Vader down. We know these characters. We have grown up with these characters. We know the mindset of these characters at the beginning of their life and at the end. If that's the case, simply make these characters do things that are in line with what we know. And if they do something out of character, simply explain why. I mean, it's as easy as that. This comes back to the first idea problem that Kenobi has been plagued with. How do we get Reva on Tatooine? Well, let's let her get stabbed by Vader and let her live, and then somehow teleport to Tatooine. That wouldn't happen. How do we let Kenobi escape? Let Vader let him go? Well, that wouldn't happen. How do we give Kenobi a really emotional flashback? Let's let Darth Vader throw him in rocks and then leave. Wouldn't happen. Boba Fett is one of the baddest bounty hunters in the galaxy, and everyone knows who Boba Fett is. In the book of Boba Fett, you make him a softie with a posse of millennials on mopeds. I mean, come on. In the Bounty Hunter game in 2002, Jango Fett stops a breathing tube from someone who's trying to hide from him in water. I mean, whatever happened to that guy? Tamora Morrison actually came out and said that he didn't like the way they took his character and wants to get back to his bad self. When the actor has to say that they don't like it, again, you've done something wrong. And when the best scenes in the show don't even have Boba Fett in it, you also know you've done something wrong. The recent Star Wars projects have been plagued with problems from the beginning. And to be honest, there are always problems when trying to create movies and TV shows. Now listen, I'm not trying to say something controversial or make me seem like I'm the best writer in the world. But listen, I actually think it would be really difficult to mess up Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, all we wanted was Hayden and Ewan. Don't have Reva, don't have Leia, don't have Kenobi planet hopping and fighting random people. Make the show simply a character study on Kenobi and the battle with his past, with tons of Hayden Christensen. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the new Star Wars shows and movies are trying to be too big, have new characters and new situations, giant battles that we don't need to happen, when all we simply want is smaller projects focusing on our favorite characters. So Disney, listen to me. Please stop lying to us. Leave our favorite characters alone. Hire some better writers, or even if it's the same writers, be willing to tell them something is a stupid idea. Don't insult our intelligence, and please stay true to the Star Wars characters. And if you're going to make these characters do something out of character, explain why. Simple as that. Because of this reason, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Andor or Rogue Squadron, because they are new characters that Disney can't butcher. And if they do, I genuinely don't care, because I don't love them like I do these characters. Disney, please, dump Lando. I don't want to see you butcher his character as well, and I really want to see Ahsoka, but if this is any indication of how you treat these characters, I'd love for you to put a hold on it until you can find a script that really does justice to these characters. Like I said at the beginning, this is not a rant about how mad I am about Star Wars or some of the decisions the higher-ups have made. I'm actually really sad that this is where we're at. Mr. Lucas, I miss you. I really do. If George Lucas were making these projects, we would get a 100% different story. And many people might say that if George were to write this, the dialogue might be really bad or stale and the acting would be terrible and blah, 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 blah. But there would be zero complaints about the characters being true to themselves and ultimately staying true to the heart of Star Wars. So Disney, I wish you all the best, and I hope that your next projects truly bring us genuine joy for Star Wars again, because this is what we want, and this is how you write a successful Star Wars story.